Well, good afternoon. It is another cold day here in the great state of Michigan. I'm not sure why people say that. I'm not sure if one state is any better than the other. Michigan just seems to be colder than most. One thing for sure, it is very difficult to clench a pipe that is a church warden in your teeth. It almost pulls your teeth out. I am smoking my estate church warden. There's no name on this. I bought this pipe probably 12 to 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer now. Oh, it would be longer. I had this back in 2004. So this is almost 20 years old, and it was old then. It's been a great smoker. I love church warden pipes, mainly because they remind me of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It's much smaller than my other one that I had picked up. This one was from a guy in Romania, and you can kind of see the the size difference here. This definitely is much more of one of those long Hobbit pipes. I mean, you can't hardly get the whole thing in the frame. This is very cool smoking. As the smoke comes up, it's very cool, but this one itself is cool. I am smoking some 1Q Lane in it, trying to aromatize my books. Years ago when I was in college, I had a guy that lent me some books. And when I picked the books up, you could smell the vanilla pipe tobacco in them. And I thought, I want to have a library someday that where all the books smell like vanilla or cherry pipe tobacco. I think most of mine is more vanilla, and I have a couple aromatics that are cherry flavor. I don't get around to smoking them as much, but yeah, I'm drinking out of my Orvis cup some hot cider, kind of relaxing downstairs. As I said, it's a very cold day here this weekend. I think it's been cold all over the United States. This weekend we had one of those Arctic blasts that came down, so we didn't get as much snow, maybe 6 inches, which is not too bad for us, but we did get the cold. It was on Saturday when I got up, it was minus 23, minus 8 on Sunday, and I think today is Monday. Yes, today's Monday. It was 7 when I got up, so we're moving in the right direction. Highs today are, I think, around 20. Maybe it's more in the teens. It got up to about 20 this weekend, but I think by the end of the week, we're supposed to maybe get back in the mid-30s. I'll be glad whenever winter's over. The sad thing about it is that even though it's the 26th of January, we're only 22 weeks away from fall. It's just a depressing thought if you think about it. We just 22 weeks, that's all it is. 22 weekends, and we will be in September. Winter will be over, spring will be gone, and summer will be over. It's just amazing how fast time flies. I've always liked the saying, years, months and weeks are long, but years are quick. And that is so true. Last year in August, I think I mentioned I went down for my 40th high school reunion. And you think about it, it's like an entire life has gone by. I've raised 2 kids. I've had 2 grandkids in that particular period of time. I mean, a lot has transpired, but in reality, that was only the celebration of 40 Christmases, 40 Thanksgivings. And 40 is something doesn't really seem like that much, but it's odd how we experience time. You look back, it seems quick. You look forward, it seems like it'll never end or never arrive. And as a kid, you wait for Christmas, or you wait for a birthday, or for summer, for school to be out and summer to be here, and it seemed like it never was there. But then when you're enjoying yourself, it seems as though it goes by in an instant. So it's all about perspective. You just kind of chug through day by day, and then you look back and you think, man, where did 40 years go? So it's interesting things to think about. I have, since it's winter, it's always a good time to, my pipe back up here. It's always a good time to stay inside and read. Summer, I seem to have a lot of things outside to go and do. But I'm, as I mentioned last time, I set my reading schedule, and that reading schedule this year is going to include particular study. I am rereading Mere Christianity. This is by C.S. Lewis, and Lewis died mid 20th century. He, I think it was right before I was born, he passed away. It is a seminal work. People quote it. It really is it's a study on the moral law, the whole concept of morality. Where do we get the basis for saying that something is right and wrong? How can we even determine right from wrong? And he uses that as an argument. I've listened to the book a few times on audio. I've read it a couple times, and I remember reading it whenever I was about 19. When I first started college. I was at Northeast State. It's a junior college at the time, and one of the professors that I was friends with gave it to me and said, read this book. So I did, but I've read it since then, and I'm rereading it as the beginning of reading a lot of Lewis's books again. Some I haven't read. Abolition of Man. I've owned it, but I've never actually read it. It is one of his more dense books. People describe it as being much more philosophical than Mere Christianity. Mere Christianity was a series of lectures that he gave, and is very relatable, very easy to read. He kind of, as one person said, brings the cookies off the shelf, makes it very easy for people to understand. Abolition of Man is a little bit more difficult, but if you get through it, if you understand the concept of it, which really he's in Abolition of Man, he's kind of relating the idea of do things have value? Is value something that is intrinsic? It is something that is real, or is it something that we merely ascribe? If I look at a sunset and I say that's a beautiful sunset, can I say that it actually is a beautiful sunset, or is it just my opinion that makes it a beautiful sunset? The sunset itself is neither good nor bad. It's just a reality. What its value comes from, whether it's beautiful or not beautiful, is myself. And Lewis would say that there is inherent value in things themselves. There is, what I think we could translate that into absolute truth. In philosophy, they would describe that as the difference between foundationalism and non-foundationalism. And this relates to the study of knowledge or epistemology. Non-foundationalism says there really is no absolute truth. Foundationalism says there are absolute truths. I wish I had a bigger bowl. My hands are cold, but it's nice holding the warm bowl there. But in foundation, they would say, yes, there are absolutes, and it doesn't matter who you are, when you live, there are always absolute truths. One example of foundationalism, I think, would be in mathematics. While it may be in some ways fashionable or correct, and it's not, I don't think, very widespread for people to say, well, 2 plus 2 does not always equal 4, or 1 plus 1 does not always equal 2. Well, I think it always does. It is a universal truth that if you have one apple, you add another apple to it, you've got 2 apples. It's common sense. When I was in school, I took a class on advanced mathematics, and we actually spent a whole day, one period, one class time, just proving that. And in fact, you can prove it. It takes like a whole page to prove 1 plus 1 does equal 2. It's just a logical truth. Now, where things get kind of dicey, in people saying we believe in non-foundational truth, that there really is no truth, usually comes in more in the area of ethics. Well, that relates to kind of what, if you have foundational truth, there really is absolute truth. You can build upon it, as I think Lewis does in Mere Christianity, where he's going to be talking about the law of morality, or the moral law. How do we know what is right and what is wrong? So there is a moral law that all people possess, and we can agree on that for the most part. There may be some differences. There may be individuals that are outliers. There may be some cultures, very, very few cultures, that are outliers, but you can't take the outlier, the extreme case, and say that proves the norm. So it's interesting looking at those two books, how Lewis is kind of building a foundation, in a sense, in the abolition of man, and then he's going up to the idea of the moral law, which he uses all throughout Mere Christianity. So those are at least 2 books I'm reading. I'm also going to read a couple more of his, but I have another one that I'm starting to read, and this one is called Beyond the Wager. Not a long read. It's maybe almost 200 pages, I think, or maybe 150. What is this? Doesn't how I think. Oh, it's actually 200 pages exactly. Beyond the Wager, and this is kind of the life of Blaise Pascal. Now, Pascal was a scientist, but he was also a Christian, and he made the wager of, well, you can live as though Christianity is not true, but is it worth the wager? Are you wagering eternal life with whether you actually know for sure that God does not exist? Now, Doug Groothuis is the one who wrote this book, and he says sometimes we have misunderstood what this wager actually is. Is that what Blaise Pascal is saying? Is he just simply saying it's better to live your life with Christian ideals and be wrong in the end, rather than not do it, and be right in the end, or rather than not do it and be wrong in the end? So he goes a little bit more in detail. I've read through about a third of it so far, and the beginning part, he just kind of gives a history of who Pascal was, his early life, his thought. Sickly man. He was a person who struggled with his health, but a very interesting thinker, scientifically, even philosophically and theologically. So this is one I would definitely recommend. Beyond the Wager by Douglas Groothuis. He's written a lot of other books. He wrote a huge book that is actually right here on my shelf. That's about 1,600 pages. More of a defense of Christianity. So looking at issues such as kind of what C.S. Lewis, we're basing a lot of this on C.S. Lewis, related to argument for the moral law, historicity of the resurrection, just some of the philosophical foundations of Christianity. So it's a very, very thinking book. One of the things I like about the Church Ward is I can actually just point to it right there. So it's nice to have that pointer. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting through some of these books. One, again, Abolition of Man for the first time. He does have another, The Weight of Glory, and Screwtape Letters. Those are not ones I'm going to read at this particular point. But I do want to go back and read what I hear people call the Narniad, which is the Chronicles of Narnia. Lewis wrote that. It was written as a children's book, but it actually has an underlying theme within that, a spiritual theme. And then there's a medieval theme that goes beyond that. Dr. Michael Ward, who is over at Oxford University, he wrote a book in 2008 that was called Planet Narnia. And he said, if you look at the underlying organization of those 7 books that make up the Chronicles of Narnia, they relate to the 7 planets. Well, not all planets, one is the sun, but it relates to the cosmology of the medieval period, medieval philosophy. And it makes sense because Lewis, as well as Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, they were both medievalists. Modern movement had already been coming along back in the 16, 17, even 1800s with the whole modernism and the Enlightenment. But they both claim we still think kind of as medievalist, and that's a different perspective, even though they taught at Oxford and Cambridge. They both appreciated the literature of the medieval period, and they use it kind of pulling that forward. I think Lewis probably more than Tolkien. Tolkien's was an amazing story. I do like The Lord of the Rings. If you've seen the movies, you know a little bit about it, but if you've read the books, you'll know that the books have a much different take on the actual story, and it makes sense to me. I mean, you are making a book. You can't go through everything in a movie. You're making a movie, so you can't do everything in the book in the movie. It could be a 30-hour movie. Although I would not be against that. I have been shocked. We were at the 25th anniversary release of the Lord of the Rings movies. And I think within the first 5 years they came out, 10 years, they came out with the extended versions. I really thought for the 20th anniversary they would have come out with the extended versions, The extended versions, they're already 3 to 3.5 hours long. But I could watch The Lord of the Rings for 4 to 5 hours. So if they had extra stuff, I would love to do that. Be great if he could have put in the Tom Bombadil stuff. I would love that. But I have heard that there was talk, and this just may be talk, that for the 30th anniversary, he is going to release a extended version. Now, I don't know how much that will be, or even if that's true. We'll see when that comes out. But I am reading, going to be reading the Chronicles of Narnia again. And I love the way Tolkien uses words. Even though it's a children's story, I don't know of an adult who couldn't get something out of it. It's fun reading. It's not like reading children's literature today. Some children's literature you pick up and it's like, this sounds like it was written for an 8-year-old. Whereas for Tolkien, he kind of spans the ages. When my kids were growing up, there was a cartoon series called the Animaniacs. I don't know if you remember that. The Animaniacs, there was about 3 or 4 cartoon characters, and there was another, seemed like it was associated with it. I think it was part of it, and it had Pinky and the Brain, or Inky and the Brain. And my kids would watch Animaniacs, and even Pinky and the Brain, I think it was. I would watch it with them because I didn't have anything else to do. But I noticed that the humor was actually geared toward adults, not in a bad way, but it just had subtle hints there that it would keep your attention. It was like, my goodness, what he just said completely went over my kid's head, but that hit me. And you could tell the people that wrote it were pretty good at their job. So, but the Chronicles of Narnia read very much like that. I think adult could enjoy them. And I'm also reading the Lord of the Rings again. So trying to look at the what is called literary apologetics. And a lot of people take George MacDonald, who was kind of an influencer in Lewis and in Tolkien, or on Lewis and Tolkien. But they will look at Lewis's fiction, such as his the trilogy, the Ransom trilogy, and Perelandria, I believe it is called, and the Lord of the Rings, and they'll say these are literary. It's apologetics in a literary format. So looking forward to going back through them. I'm through the first book, so I'm about at the Two Towers, and completing that one. I'm hoping by the end of February. At least I hope so, because I have other readings that I'm going to need to be starting. I have some Augustine. I want to read some of his stuff. Trying to put in a yearly reading schedule here, but yeah. If you've ever read C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity, or Abolition of Man, or you know much about Pascal or Beyond the Wager, love to hear your comments on those particular books. But maybe we can share some stuff as I jump into, especially the Abolition of Man. I like the way he starts out by kind of critiquing a school book at his time, the Green School Book, and where they take two individuals where they actually look at say, here's two opinions on something. They say it doesn't really matter what their opinions are on the beauty of something. It's just all subjective. And then Lewis kind of takes that apart. I know that can be a pretty divisive thing, like people in art. If you're an art critic, you would say that, yes, there are absolutes. But if you're another person, you say, well, I can go to a museum and I like certain things and I don't like certain things. I believe what Lewis would be referring to are things that we could all agree on. And of course, then again, some may find that to be problematic. Do we all agree on the beauty of a sunset, the beauty of a sunrise, a mountainscape, or what other kind of landscape that you can see? So it's always interesting discussion. And if you can read those kind of things, you can smoke a pipe, you can drink some coffee, some Irish cream liqueur, hard cider, or hot apple cider, or maybe even some whiskey. It's great to dialogue and to interact with some of these people. Of course, I love dialoguing with actual people. That's kind of fun too. It's rare today that we can do that. I know I've mentioned that a couple times. It just seems as though we have lost the ability to have a conversation with each other. I've had conversations with people who are staunch atheists, people who are in a variety of other religious movements. And I love hearing what they have to say. I love dialoguing with people and just saying, hey, we can always agree to disagree on some of these philosophical issues, but I think it's always good to push our own beliefs, because when you dialogue with someone who disagrees with you, if you can do that in a way where there is dialogue and it's not someone just shouting at you, don't get that. I don't like people just shouting at me, and it seems a lot of people today shout, and it's almost as though if I say it loud enough, I can speak truth. I think what people are doing, I think a lot of people have the emotional level of a 12-year-old, and they shout their thoughts at other people, and it may be more that they're trying to convince themselves that they're right. But it usually is done in such a disrespectful and almost nonsensical way. I don't see really what you're going to gain out of this. I don't see how you're going to learn or even communicate by the way that you're conducting yourself. But
that's the thing, though. They don't even think about that. It's just you could tell it's hurting their pride. So it's just the way they approach things like that. Hold on. It's by yelling. Like, why? Why are you yelling, bro? It's a lot of people. I see it kind of like as, oh fuck, bro, where'd I go, bruh? You could probably see it as like chess. You know, you think of what move you're gonna do, but you also gotta think of what the other person is gonna do, and then the other possibility, and then that other possibility, and you have to like apply that way of thinking to a lot of things. I feel like, which I still need to learn how to. And I'm not saying it like I won't see myself in other people's shoes. I say it in a way that's like, I don't know. I just forget that like systematic thinking, I guess, and use it into like everyday tasks, um, or even like planning ahead. I don't I don't do it as much as I really should be, because I know, doing that is just, it's kind of like Richard Feynman. bro, I don't know what he's done, bro, but based off of like what I'm reading, um, yeah, he kind of worked in that way. We just treat life like as a chess game, and you just think of, oh shit, think of possibility after possibility, and you basically create plans to react to those possibilities, like a chess game. I don't know how to play chess. I'd really like to, but yeah.
To scrutiny, and I need to be able to reason through that. One, not only does that allow me to reinforce what I believe and say, okay, I know why I believe what I believe, but it helps you not look like a fool when you get out and someone asks you a question and it's like, I don't know. I think we need to have at least some understanding of why we believe what we believe. So, anyways, this video has gone on way too long. We're at almost 30 minutes here. So, you have a blessed day. I hope that you're staying warm. I know this cold front has gone all the way down to Texas, and there's a lot of people that are hurting. I just heard that in Nashville this weekend, they were without power, and I have a lot of people I know that are just below that in North Alabama. They didn't get that much. It didn't seem like it disrupted things, but you know, quarter-inch of ice, that means power's out. That can hurt people. I don't want that to happen. Minus 23 with.
I was supposed to be surfing the web, but this guy's actually, it's pretty interesting to like watch. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna figure out what to do next for engineering project. I don't want to stream it because, bro, to be running a streaming software and then a 3D modeling software, it's like, bro, damn, bro. But yeah, this thing's already like warm, so if I ever like, sorry, fuck. If I ever get my like setup going, I'll be using it. Right now, I don't have anything. I don't have a fucking monitor. I don't have a fucking monitor anymore, bro. But but yeah, engineering, then do some math, and probably take a nap because my eyelids are, I don't know. These are like tired eyes. I have sleep debt. When you sleep, bro,